Good afternoon, everybody. It's a good time to be Indigenous. You are here with your boy Cody, and we got Devin Destiny.
Hey, guys.
And we got Jay Falkus from Falkus Media.
Hey, everyone.
All right. Welcome back to the Intertribal Talk podcast. We missed you, and we hope you missed us as well.
Yeah, we sure did. I honestly, how many takes did we just have to do of that intro?
4.
Good job, buddy. This is what happens when we take a break. We come back and we're just like, what are we doing again?
How does this work? What do we help?
Yeah. Oh, also, everyone, we are just doing the audio for this one, for this go round, and possibly for future as well, right?
Yeah.
Yeah, just to help us cut down on some time and whatnot, but also, I don't know, like we'll do videos, here and there, right? But like for now, we're gonna stick with the audio. I don't know. It's a lot of pressure off of me because I can just wear whatever the heck I want now. I don't have to get all glam.
I know. I'm so worried about my makeup when I come into the studio.
I know. I mean, I didn't recognize you without your glam, Cody.
No. Oh, God.
Sorry. Oh, my God. Yeah. And like literally, how long has it been? We stopped like early March, I think.
The last episode we recorded, I believe, was February.
Was it February?
Yep.
Holy crikey.
If I'm not mistaken, I think it was. I think Jay's looking it up right now. What was that date, Jay?
We uploaded February 28th, so a couple days before that is when we recorded.
Oh my goodness.
Oh, wow. So it's just a little bit over a month.
That's so wild. And the irony and all that too was, I think the last podcast that we did, we were talking about how everybody was all in an uproar doing the whole convoy thing, and there were all different opinions flying around, and we kind of were both mutually like, there's bigger things to worry about, y'all. Like, just, this is all going to blow over. Don't get your panties in a wad. Like, everything's going to be fine. And then we had like some crazy news right after that.
Yeah. And before we dive into that, because it's a very important thing to discuss and acknowledge. So just keep in mind the last episode about the trucker convoy and the whole reasoning behind the convoy. Today is April is it the 12th today? 11th. It's the 11th.
Yeah.
So 3 days ago, all the vaccine passports are gone now.
Exactly.
Right? So it's like we don't have those passports to worry about anymore. They're a thing of, the past, so to speak. Mm-hmm. And life is kind of somewhat normal in terms of COVID.
Yeah.
I think
things are starting to get normal.
Starting to.
Yeah.
It's a little bit hairy out in Ontario right now. Alberta's got some hot spots going for COVID, but I think the general consensus was we got to try and live with this at this point. And like
herd immunity kind of thing.
Yeah.
But here's the real thing. Did the convoy help push that, or was that already in process and people just needed to be patient?
In my opinion, it was going to happen regardless.
Exactly. Sorry, I get all huffy about it because I'm like, God, people get so like over things without even like sitting tight for just a minute just to see how things go, right?
Yeah.
I don't know.
It's interesting to see, the fact that there's still like tons of vehicles with the Canada flags, on their vehicles, hockey sticks, holding up giant Canada flag out of trucks and stuff. And I'm like, really, y'all? Like, really? We're still doing that? Yeah.
They did. You know what? The thing that gets me is that they were so fast to go out and do that. But what number are we at for the amount of Indigenous children found? I think we're around
just
10.
Over 10,000, I think.
Yeah, exactly. So where were you with your upside down flags? Where were you with your flags to help protest that? Where were you? If you were really about Canada and rights and freedoms, where were you? And I'm sorry to get all like political. That's not usually my thing. But honestly, ask yourself that. If you showed up for something like that, why couldn't you show up for the other thing?
But the thing too as well is that there's only been, I think, 10 schools out of 138 searched.
Oh yeah, there's so much more.
There's so
you still have a chance
many
to
more.
show up.
And this is North America, not just Canada. But at the same time, the numbers are just ridiculous already.
Mm-hmm.
That is true. The other thing in regards to that is something we talked about on the previous episode, right? Is that people don't care about something that doesn't pertain to them, or it doesn't affect them, or it has, it's not a part of something of their daily life.
Yeah, it doesn't make my daily life any worse, so why do I bother?
Right. Yeah. Right. It doesn't inconvenience me, and while we're saying this, like, there are definitely a lot of allies out there. There's a lot of people who are continuously trying to show support and, ensure that these messages are being heard, and that, that it's still fighting to keep it in the mainstream conversation. Unfortunately, it's just, there's so many other things going on in the world right now that it's the world we live in now with social media and the news cycle just constantly turning over. It's so hard to keep anything in mainstream media.
Oh, 100%. I completely agree. And that was one of the big things, like a lot of Indigenous influencers were talking about too, like before something new comes along, like, please look into this. And it is the same with a lot of the stuff going on currently in the world. Everybody is, I'm pretty sure, up to date on all that, and like just the divide that's causing as well, right? Like, it's amazing the unity that so many of the other countries have put forward to current circumstances going on in the Ukraine, but it's really sad to see like how much propaganda there is out there, and the false information and that kind of stuff, right? So we'll definitely deep dive into that later.
Yeah, it is something that you and I were. I'll touch on this now. We won't get into it too much, but Devin and I tossed around this idea that we have and it's regarding the news, regarding news cycles, and regarding Indigenous news specifically. So, one issue that we have nowadays is misinformation, false information, so much so, and we might, like, what, let's just dive right in.
Let's just go right in.
So, when we're looking at the war in Ukraine right now, when you understand the world we live in and how much of an influence social media has on propaganda, on the news, on information that we receive and share.
The easy clickbait.
Right. When you have the White House bringing in TikTok influencers to a debriefing on the war, that goes to show you how important this, like, when people talk about war, they think of, guns and bombs and planes, and that's a part of it, but the other side of the war is propaganda. It's news. It's stories getting in the news and narratives being told. That is the other half that doesn't really get talked about enough. Yeah. And so, when you look at all the information we're getting, it's like, how do you decipher what's real, what's not, what's propaganda, what's Russian propaganda, what's American propaganda?
Because things sound so real. And and it also depends on like which news station you're listening to, right? Because there are some that are very, very real that do spit the facts. And then there's some that are straight up BS. And I mean, it's hard to tell who the wolf in sheep's clothing is,
Oh, yeah. I mean, let's be very crystal clear here. We already know who the wolf is.
Oh, yeah.
And that's Putin.
If I could have a few words with him, I would be like, okay, little boy obsessed with Hitler. Can we please talk about your childhood? Can we please talk about what your obsession is with getting this piece of country back? I understand that every country has issues, but why do you need that part of the country back?
Well, if you go back, even before Putin ever became president of Russia, he told the world that the biggest mistake ever made was the falling of the USSR. So in his mind, when the USSR was much larger, and that involved Ukraine and involved the other parts, north of Russia and around the borders, that was all a part of the USSR. So when the USSR crumbled and then it was reduced to what we know of Russia as today, well, he said that like, I think that those should still be a part of Russia.
Yeah.
So in his mind, he was always going to do this. This was always going to be...
He was plotting this since he was a kid playing with tin soldiers.
Yeah, right? Like, it's just, it's something that he's talked very openly about for many years. So, I mean, I'm not saying it's right. It's not right, but I'm just relaying information that is something that he has felt very strongly about. So,
for everyone to be like, I don't understand.
Right.
Yeah.
But then you think about, unfortunately, when it comes to war, you have to talk politics because it's such a big factor. And so when you hear over the last couple elections in the United States, you've heard of Russian influence and Russia has been, messing with the elections and blah, blah, blah. Well, America messes with elections too.
Exactly.
How do you think Zelensky, the president of Ukraine, got elected? He was someone that NATO and the United States of America felt would be a good person to instill democracy in Ukraine, because there's so much corruption. There's so much bad things going on with the Russia instilled leader that the world's like, we need someone to bring, like, and the people of Ukraine wanted democracy as well. Regardless of what people are saying, I have done my research on this, and the people of Ukraine were like, we want a somewhat of a normal country. We need to be able to have laws and rules and sort of rhyme and reason to life. It can't just be all corruption and, bad things going on. So
yeah, 100%. That's one thing I can't remember what I was doing, but I was on a scroll. Also, I ended up in Facebook jail. I did. Well, you know what? I fell for clickbait, shared it. Boom, got a notification the next day. Sorry, this post has been reported as fraudulent or blah, 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 and you're now banned for this many days. Dang. Like, you can get banned for that, which is crazy. And I wasn't banned, but they just told me, they're like, you're out of the algorithm now. All of your posts are being moved to the very bottom. So I was like, oh, wow. You assholes. And okay, I probably deserve that. Fell for it again. Won't do that again. But anyways, I was on this scroll, and it was a war vet, a U.S. Army war vet, who said by the end of World War, I think it was II, he said, we were ready to tell all those politicians, and we were giving them, we should have given them our guns and said, go fight your war yourself. And those words stuck with me, because you think about it, like, both of my great grandfathers served in the war or served in the army. And, you think about their stories like that, and how many of them are like, some of the stuff that we've seen, people shouldn't see.
Oh yeah.
And, and it's always sad when you have to hear people just following commands, right? Like, how many Russian troops were captured, and then even saying like, I don't even want to be here.
Absolutely. A lot of Russian troops didn't even know why they were there. They thought they were there to fight Nazism. Yeah. That Ukraine was full of Nazis.
Yeah.
And just like, wow, like that, if you look at, I think the majority of Ukrainians are Jewish.
Well, and that's scary, because they were talking about the mass executions and stuff that they were planning, right? And that's disgusting. So for them to be like, we're fighting Nazis, and then go and do exactly what the Nazis did, what in the hell is going through your mind to think that that's any different?
You're right. And so what's really cool is that I'm actually taking I just finished the semester of school at UBC. Thank goodness it's almost over. Just got finals to deal with now. But I was taking an international politics course. And so we actually got to really have great discussions around the war in Ukraine and Russia, and kind of, so there's, when you look at the superpowers of the world, right? So when you look at the United Nations, there are 5 countries that have veto power. Like, they can dictate what happens internationally and what doesn't. So the thing about international law is that there is no one to really uphold or to hold anyone accountable. Basically, the idea is that when like the general consensus is we shouldn't do anything bad to each other because the consequences of that are going to be very bad.
Yeah.
So the idea is like back in the day when countries were doing arms races for nuclear warheads and nuclear bombs and stuff, it was like, okay, I don't want to mess with that country because they got nukes and we have nukes. So like if we go at each other, that's going to be disastrous for both parties.
Yeah, exactly. What's the point?
So, but the thing is, everyone right now is crying. They're like, you need to, Putin needs to be put in international, put on international law trial for war crimes, for crimes against humanity and all of these things. But here's the thing. Russia, China, India, England, and the United States of America they're the 5 superpowers. They have veto power over any decisions that get made in the United Nations.
That's scary.
It's very scary. And the thing is they've never had a situation where one of those, because basically those were the 5 strongest countries in the world after World War II. That's why they got those veto powers. Mm-hmm. They're like, hey, we're the best, so we want some sort of power to wield. And so now when it comes to Putin and the war, it's really hard to hold him accountable because if they said, hey, we're going to put you on trial, Putin could just turn around and say, veto. Mm-hmm. And he excuses himself, essentially. I'm speaking
So that's where the term comes, I'm vetoed out or something.
That's right.
Okay. See, I never understood that. I get it now.
Yeah.
Okay.
So, and I'm sorry if I'm speaking very broadly.
No. I'm following.
But it's just like, that's essentially in a nutshell. That's why it's going to be so hard to hold Putin accountable for any of his actions on an international scale. Yeah. So that's why you're seeing right now all these sanctions, where they're like, no more, no, people are trying to not purchase Russian oil and Russian energy sources. Mm-hmm. And, they're trying to like hurt Russia as a country to hopefully prevent them from continuing this.
Yeah. It's like, why the hell were nukes made in the first place? And like, why does anybody think that nuclear weapons, when you go and blast a country or whatever with a nuke, you can't go back to that place. So what's the point? Like, you can't go move in and take over their land. You can't go use any of those resources. You can't use it. You screwed it all up. You've got radiation all over everything now, nuclear radiation. And in my opinion, this might be a popular opinion among many people. I'm like, strap all those twisted dictators onto those nukes and blast them out into space. Seriously, like, we don't need that here. There's a lot of people who could lead with peace and love, right? And I mean, I'm not, I'm all about that peace and love and a little go fuck yourself life.
Yep.
But to me, I've just never understood the point of a nuclear weapon because I'm like, why? Like, who could ever have that much hate to want to wipe people out like that, right?
It was for power, simply. It was, if you had a nuke, you weren't going to get messed with.
Yeah.
So that's where the arms race came in. That's why there was such a buildup of nuclear arms, because if you had more nuclear power in terms of like weapons,
you could instill fear in anybody.
Bingo.
It's
exactly.
Stupid.
It is. But that's the reality of the situation, and there's a lot of countries that have, like right now, Ukraine doesn't have any nuclear arms because part of the deal that was made after USSR had fallen is they weren't like Russia
allowed
said,
to own it.
Like, no one's going to have nuclear arms near us.
Yeah.
We're going to be the only ones with nuclear power,
yeah,
firepower, so to speak. So
yeah. Geez, that's so crazy. This is it all just blows my mind because like literally our last podcast we said, everybody's in an uproar over these vaccine passports, which will literally fucking blow over. Just wait even a year. Wait for that all to blow over. There's bigger things out there in the world we should be concentrating on, worrying about, finding solutions for.
Yeah.
And then boom, like vaccine passports now like pretty much nixed, pretty much gone everywhere. Things are opening up, and now there is a war that people are worried about leading into World War III.
Yep.
So like, what the hell in the last how many years we've just had, what the hell has been happening?
You know what? We've talked about this before. I truly believe things have been so good for so long for humanity, most of the world. Like obviously we all know about situations in different countries that have like ongoing wars and things that we don't hear about in Canada or North America very often because news media doesn't want anyone, they don't put any energy into it.
It doesn't affect us.
Doesn't
affect us, so we don't need to worry about it.
Right. So I'm not trying to say that like life is perfect.
Yeah.
But in
our world
as a whole, life has been pretty peaceful. Life has been pretty good. So this is the first time we've ever been inconvenienced or we've had something bigger than us happen.
Yeah.
And, people are, I understand. I totally get like the antitrust of the government mentality. I really do. Because the government lies all the time.
Yeah.
It's really hard to see truthfulness being utilized or spoken about.
It's hard to pick a side of the fence to be on.
Right.
Yeah.
And especially when the politicians themselves are the ones doing that lip service to like push further division or to create animosity amongst us as people.
Yeah.
So, with the whole COVID thing, it's like anyone who has been flying those flags or who has like, really been hardcore saying like, yeah, COVID's not real and it's all fake and whatever, or, I wouldn't have dealt with it this way. You know what? I wouldn't want to be the person who had to deal with this.
No.
I wouldn't want to be the one in charge. I wouldn't want to be Adrian Dix or Dr. Bonnie Henry or Dr. Tam, a federal health doctor, right? Like
or Trudeau in any aspect, or Trudeau,
or any leader, because these decisions are huge.
Yeah,
it's a lot of responsibility, and you got to live through those decisions. And
nobody steps into that position knowing that they're going to have something like this thrown at them.
Yeah,
exactly. So,
and it's just going back to the war in Ukraine. It's really sad what's going on. And, when you see what is happening and the people, are like, oh, we need to do more. Like, why aren't they doing this? Or why aren't they, they should, people think it's like really easy decision-making that you can just like make a choice and then
go in and fight. And those are husbands and wives and sisters and brothers that you are voluntarily saying, yeah, go ahead, go jump in that fight. You might not come home though.
Yeah.
Yeah.
It's bigger than that. It's more serious than I think a lot of people really want to admit.
Yeah.
Because it's across the world. It's on the other side of the world. So we're like, it doesn't, it hasn't, the thing is people are like, maybe they think, oh, it doesn't affect us, but guess what? It is, and it will. Because the thing about Russia and Ukraine, guess where most of the world's wheat comes from?
Over there.
Yeah. Grain.
Yeah.
Huge grain supply. Those two countries supply most of the world with their grain.
Yeah.
We haven't seen the shortfall of that yet, but we will.
I'm a huge movie theorist. I live and learn from a lot of movies because so many situations that you watch in a movie, you can learn something from that and then put it to real life here and be like, hey, that happened in this movie. Okay, well, I find a lot of answers there, a lot of people wondering about Indigenous rights and freedoms and what we've been fighting for will go watch the movie Avatar. It's just like that. Things like that. And movies like The Hunger Games. I talk about this shit all the time on our show. Like, people probably think I'm so stupid, but whatever. I don't even care. I watch like The Hunger Games, and you think about it, when they're in their districts, they all provide each other with certain things as well, but they provide it to the capital, the people who like reap everything, right?
Yeah.
And like there's people who do coal, there's loggers, there's miners, there's all sorts of stuff, right? And that's kind of like in the world right now, like we all provide certain services to each other. And if we don't fall in line, there are serious consequences, you know? So, and it's sad and it sucks. And why can't we all just be independent countries, leave each other alone, and stop having our taxes and all that kind of shit go up? Stop having all of our prices for everything go up because we have to buy from outside sources. Why not just learn to eat and grow the things that work in our climate without being dependent on other people like that? Like, why don't we all just mind our own business, leave each other alone, and live like that?
I got one answer for you. I got the answer. Capitalism.
Yes, exactly. And it's not reality, but it could be. And I don't know why, again, people will probably think I'm stupid for saying this. I live in Disney Princess Land, where I'm always that girl who's stepping up and being like, there's got to be a better way. There's got to be a better way. Why can't we find common ground? I don't want to be on that side of the fence or that side of the fence. I want to be right in the middle, because I want to find common ground for everyone to just get the fuck along.
Yeah. Stop
being big babies. Learn how to share, or learn how to leave each other the fuck alone.
Right. I'm glad you said that, because I think, while I agree with you, I think that would be amazing if we could be more self-sustained as a country. And I think COVID taught us that. And we did discuss that a little bit about when the world shut down and China, the supply chain, and how that shut down for the world, because China manufactures most of the stuff that we
consume and consume.
So interestingly, just a little, since we're on the talk of COVID, sort of.
we're in like 3 different topics right now.
Just, Sagittarius is, try to keep up with us.
Yeah.
The thing is, I don't know if anyone, I don't know if you or Jay, if you've been keeping up with things in China. I do, because I have a lot of good friends over there still.
Yeah.
It's a little scary in Shanghai, what's going on right now.
What's going on there?
So the government locked down Shanghai for almost 2 weeks now.
Wow.
Like, you are you're locked in your apartment. You are not allowed to leave.
Yeah.
Some people are locked in their offices, like their workspaces. Some people are locked in spaces where they don't have access to food, water, blankets, pillows,
And they don't have, the government's not supplying them with any kind of delivery service or anything for care.
They're trying.
Yeah.
I use that term loosely. Trying. But when you have literally millions of people living in this city, you think it's going to be easy to get people supplies, but it's not.
Yeah.
And not only that, but because so Shanghai is shut down in so many areas, that it's affecting how you get goods in.
Yeah.
Not only that, but now we haven't seen it yet, but this shutdown, we're going to see that effect on the supply chain in the world.
Yeah.
Because Shanghai is one of the largest hubs of trade, because they have a shipping channel, and boats come and go from Shanghai, right? So it's a little bit scary. My one of my best friends, Dwayne, he just moved back to Canada.
Yeah.
So shout out to Dwayne. Glad you're home, man. But he got, the day he left, they locked down.
Oh my gosh.
Shanghai.
He got lucky.
He just got out.
Holy.
Yeah, with his wife and his son. So, it's like when people talk about communism and Canada's going communist and Canada, No. You want to see communism? Go look on the news right now. Go look up the news and what's going on in Shanghai, and you will see what true communism is.
Yeah.
When you can force people to stay locked in wherever they are. And the thing is, there's no end in sight. There's no date that they're because COVID cases are going up and up and up and up. Yeah. So their idea is shut it down, prevent the spread.
And is that because there's just there's so many people, and it's there's literally unless they shut them all down for a year, completely nix the stuff, everyone has to get vaccinated, everybody has to this, everybody has to that, and then open it up? There's no plans or anything like that?
From what I understand, their vaccines weren't as effective as they were hoping.
Okay.
So, and especially against the new variants.
Yeah.
And also they didn't, I don't think they foresaw just how contagious these new variants are, regardless of the fact of how mild the Omicron is.
Yeah.
We've all become aware of that. But I think when you have such a densely populated area, when you have millions of people living in it'll
just become a cycle where it won't go away. Yeah,
exactly. And then
for some people it's just the cold, and for some other people it's much worse.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah. Depending on what your underlying health issues are, and whatever. So it's just, I really wish people could think more about what's going on outside of their bubble and reflect on that.
Yeah.
And realize that we have it pretty freaking good here.
We have it amazing here. That's, and I love that you said that, like thinking of other people outside of your bubble, because literally just part of my practice while we've been on our break, I do this all the time, even when we're not on break. Every day, this is part of my thing is I have to wake up and I have to go to bed saying what I'm grateful for in those moments, in that day. Even if it's like, I'm grateful to wake up and not be sore today. I'm grateful to wake up and get to work out for 30 minutes and then go ride my horse. I'm grateful to do this. I'm grateful to do that. I'm grateful my children are healthy and happy. You know, I just knocked my mic. If you, and this is something that, like, honestly, anybody listening, if you could practice this every morning before you get up and out of bed, lay there. It is so good to do a 5-minute morning meditation and just close your eyes, stretch. Like I stretch my groin. I do all my bedtime stretches or like my bed stretches, my morning yoga in bed. And I will sit there and I will meditate at the same time. Just let the thoughts free flow. And then I will end with, I am grateful for, and go on about anything. And then at the very end, you can say thank you to whoever your higher power you pray to is. You know, keep it positive. And then when
talk that talk,
exactly,
let's go.
And I guarantee you will start feeling so much better and more appreciative of each and every day when you wake up, because literally every day is a gift. And I'm going to be total cheeseball here. Every day is a gift. Yes, cheese it. And then same thing when you go to bed. I stand out under the moon, and depending on whatever the weather's like, sometimes I go stand in the crazy weather and I say the same thing, say my thanks. I give my thanks. And then I go to bed, and you go to bed and you wake up so much happier. And then it also puts things into perspective of whatever is going on around you, seeing how bad your life actually is not, and seeing how good your life actually is, and that other people are in a much worse place, and that you should just be thankful in that moment. Yeah. Right? Oh yeah, absolutely. It's hard. It is hard to do that though. It understandably so. Yeah. I think that, you know, we're seeing, and this, I'm going to tie this all in here, but like what we're seeing right now is there's a handful of countries that are going to a 4-day work week now. Yes. There's a handful of countries that are understanding that life is meant to be lived. Mm-hmm. You shouldn't be a slave to your job. You shouldn't be a slave to, working, constantly working. And if we're contributing to society, treat us like we're human beings with lives and families, not working animals. Exactly. And even animals shouldn't be treated like that. No, they shouldn't. But yeah, it's essentially it's incredibly challenging to be grateful when you are worried about how you're going to pay this bill, how you're going to pay that bill, how are you going to get enough money for groceries today? Maybe you're getting kicked out of because the housing issue in this country is sickening. And so maybe you're just got notification that you have to move out at the end of the month. So I guess what I'm saying is like when you are I only say this because I have been super stressed out for, I don't even know how long it's been. It's just like, I've never been this stressed in my life, I don't think. Yeah. But I tell you that like the negativity kind of has had a space in my head that I've been fighting with for a while now, because I'm so stressed about other things that it can be hard to like take a moment and just be grateful. But I do try. And I like what you said about maybe, saying what you're grateful before you go to bed, or when you wake up, make that a part of a routine. I think that's a great idea. It doesn't make it's not like slapping a Band-Aid on and making everything all better in that moment. It's a practice of every day saying it, and you build up that feeling where it is, I am okay. I am safe. And this is another Sagittarius thing, is being optimistic as fuck. You got to say, I always find a way. I always make this work. And the universe works in my favor. saying stuff like that, you know, and I'm a huge affirmations girl and I believe in affirmations. And I don't think that it's not that saying magic words will change your life forever. It's saying it with the feeling and trusting that better things will come.
I completely agree with you. I think that there's, it could just be a Sagittarius thing. Maybe you just said it. I feel like when we are able to put our energy into something, like when we are like legitimately like, I want this, it comes.
Yes.
Very rarely have I tried to do something that has not come to fruition in some way, shape, or form.
Yeah. Master manifesting.
That's right.
One of the things too is, if you think about it, your brain is the most powerful supercomputer there is. Mm-hmm. Yeah. So thinking positively and like affirmations and all of that, and just talking about it and like pushing it forward and focusing on that, that's where you'll end up. That's where you'll go. That's what you'll get, is focusing on things and like doing it all positively. Because if you think about people, like when you're being super, super negative all the time, you're like, oh, just sucks and this is horrible and this happens to me all the time. And,
domino effect.
It just keeps happening. It keeps happening. Whereas if you're positive and you're like, okay, I have goals. That's why setting the 5-year goals, 1-year goals, and things like that. And vision boards, everything like that. Having those goals and just focusing on that is huge. Because then you're programming your brain. You're programming basically everything about it to focus and go in positive ways.
And then the little inconveniences are no longer something that you'll blow up or get super upset about, being like, okay, that just held me up like for a minute here. It's okay. I'm still on track. You know, like, and even the big things, right? Like there's been many times in my life where things were going so perfectly and then came to a screeching freaking halt and threw me for a complete loop, made me question everything about life going on.
Yeah.
And then having to pull yourself out of that, like, is this changing my dreams? Is pouting about it or allowing myself to sit in this place going to keep me going? Or is this is this helpful or hindering? Yeah. Right. And exactly as Jay said, right? Like putting it in or saying it every day, you know, it really does. It instills that. It's like a map kind of.
It is.
Yeah.
I think that, you know, you know, what you said, you know, sometimes things can come to a screeching halt, and oftentimes, I'm a person who reflects on myself constantly. I'm constantly looking inward. And so, you know, bless Sarah's heart. You know, she has been such a solid. She's been my ultimate best friend, my lover, my source of strength. You know, because when my mom passed away, that was a lot to deal with. But I ran from it, as I've told you guys. I you know, you run from the pain, right? And as you taught me, which I'm grateful you taught me that, like, you know, trauma, what's it called? Trauma response is to like keep busy, run, do whatever you can.
Be busy but not productive.
Right. Be busy but not productive. And so, you know, she has been with me through that. But then, you know, within a year, my younger brother passed away, and I was not even really over, or not, I shouldn't say over, but I still
recovered.
I was still dealing with the loss of my mom, and then that happened. And so my point of all of this is that I'm still dealing with this to this day. It's something that affects me on a daily basis, between depression, anxiety, but more so I've realized that, you know, there's things, as you said, we're talking about like lashing out or being aggressive, microaggressions and responses to things. You know, I realized that I was reacting in ways when, you know, if Sarah and I had a disagreement or even just if she would say something to me in a tone that I maybe didn't, I heard it in a way, right? I heard it
because you were already in that mood.
I was already in this like very defensive, you know, sort of fragile state of like, so sometimes I would lash out and I would get angry, but it wasn't it. What I'm trying to say is shit with me going on inside. It wasn't Sarah. It's not that she did something to provoke me or to, get me fired up. It was my trauma.
Yeah.
My shit that I'm dealing with. And so I've worked so hard to understand that, like, you need to work on that. You need to address that. And so if you can reflect on yourself, if you can be grateful for what you have and be grateful for things that are going on in your life, and stop worrying about the things you don't have, and stop worrying about, I wish I had, I wish. Be grateful for what you have right there. And that's what I've put almost all my effort into in the last little while, is like, I think I tell Sarah every single day how much I love her, how much I appreciate her. Just, I really want her to know that, like, I felt really bad for what she has had to go through with me. Not that I've done it intentionally or I've gone my way.
But she understands, though.
Right.
She does. She understands. And of course, like, she knows you even better than you know yourself sometimes, right? And that's our partners. They know us better than we know ourselves in those moments, because in those moments we're not making sense of anything.
Yep.
Right?
Absolutely. So that's just my way of saying, like, I'm so grateful for her. And I'm grateful for, for you. I'm grateful for Jay. There's a lot of people who have been with me throughout this, this really rough year and a bit. And, but it takes over. It can, like, trauma can send you to a very dark place, and to a place of real negativity. And I understand, like, I get it now. Now that I've experienced it, I get it. And it's, you need to be grateful for good things in your life. You can't always focus on the negative. You really got to open up.
I'm watching this show right now, and I think it's on Prime, and it's called 9 Perfect Strangers. And basically it's like a journey of everybody on a healing journey. They go to this retreat. It's actually quite funny when you watch it. But anybody listening, check it out on Prime. 9 Perfect Strangers, got Nicole Kidman in it. It's so crazy. It's like this wellness retreat, and everybody ends up accidentally getting microdosed without consent, but they end up enjoying it. But anyways, it's everybody on a healing journey, and they all have different reasons for grief and stress and needing to escape and needing to go heal themselves. Yeah. And this woman, literally, she's like, you're not here for pleasure. You're here for suffering. You're getting it all out, basically. Like, you need to get it all out. You need to be raw and real with yourself. And that's how people can go on with that healing. And, and with you, when you were talking about your mom, just one thing that just, like, popped in my head was just know in every moment that when you think of them, know how proud of you they are. Right. And, in those moments to remind yourself of that too. Like, I bet you they're up there watching me just kicking ass right now. And I'm doing all the things I said I was going to do. And they're so happy about it. Right. It's, I don't know. I think, and I know, I'm sure you already do that. Right. So just another little side thing.
Yeah.
So yeah, like I was saying, if you focus on those kinds of things too, right? And, like, I'm not saying, as I said before, it's not like slapping a Band-Aid on and making everything better, but it is that affirmation and just knowing, like, they absolutely are so proud of you. Yeah,
I agree. I think that, there comes, this is going to sound funny, but I was watching Better Call Saul season 5. They just finished filming season 6.
I don't think I've seen it.
Better Call Saul is probably, okay, listen, this might be controversial, but Better Call Saul to me is equal to, maybe even a little better than Breaking Bad.
Oh.
Because Better Call Saul is a prequel to Breaking Bad, right?
Yeah, yeah.
So anyway, I was watching that show, and, Mike, one of the main characters, he was, he lost his shit on his granddaughter because she was talking about her dad, his son, who had passed in the show. Sorry, spoiler alert. But anyway, if you watch Breaking Bad, you already know.
Damn.
Anyway, but but you know, he went through this thing and he was like, you know, drinking and just like really self-sabotaging. And so what ended up happening is, you know, he kind of bounced back and he had an experience. And so he said something that really resonated with me. He said, you know what? Because his son's ex-wife is like, what changed for you? Why are you different now?
Yeah.
And he said, I decided to play the cards I was dealt. Mm-hmm. And that to me is like, that hit home, because while we do have trauma and we do have pain and we do have things that we need to address, you have to address it. Mm-hmm. And by accepting the cards that you were dealt, it's a step in a direction of healing. It's a step in a direction of moving forward.
Understanding that you cannot change things.
Yeah.
And you have to accept it and learn to maybe just be okay with it. You know, you don't have to be happy about it, but you have to be okay. And it's not moving on. It's learning to, I guess there's so many steps, like learning to cope, learning to heal, there's so many steps to that.
There is.
Yeah.
And everyone's steps are different, right? Everyone's journey, everyone's healing journey is very different.
Yeah. We just all need to be gentle with each other.
We do, you know, you know, Jay and I have, you know, we had a really good heart to heart a couple of weeks ago, and you know, we talked about the importance of us having, as men, we have to talk to each other more, check in on each other as men. Yeah, you know, because we often rely on our spouses, on our wives, on our partners to talk to about things, but until we as men can kind of like talk to each other, it's gonna go a long way. It's gonna understand that we have to help each other as much as we can. You know, so, you know, I think that that's really important. Like, be kind, be gentle, but tell people who you care about that you care about them, that you love them. Yeah. I tell Jay I love him all the time.
Because you never know what's going to happen in this friggin' world, and you don't want to ever leave anything, you know, unhandled or unwell.
Exactly. We gotta work harder to support each other, check in on each other, and understand that if someone lashes out, if you're talking or you meet up with a friend or family member and they're just like, they kind of snap at you, or they're a little bit like, they're probably going through something that day. Yeah. There's something going on in their world. It's not always about you as much as
we got to stop taking shit so personally.
Exactly. Yeah. It's not about you. Most of the time when someone's having, you know, going through something, it's really not about you. It's probably something else.
Yeah. Well, honestly, I'm glad we had this talk, because with everything, with like the whole, like what we discussed, like with the convoy and like the previous episode that we had, and then going into Ukraine and all of this stirring up so many emotions. And again, like everybody's in chaos. Just be nice, you guys. Again, I think we've said this probably 10,000 times on this show. Just be freaking nice to each other, guys.
That's right. Yeah. That's all that. Yeah. And we're going to say it 10,000 more times. We need to be understanding of each other and take compassion. And, you know, there's an old saying that goes, you know, if you could trade your problems with someone else's problems, you'd probably take your problems back in a heartbeat. Keep that in mind.
Absolutely. Yeah. Well, I think we're having a very short episode today, and I think we're going to try that out for a little while. So we hope you guys enjoyed this. We always love having your feedback. You know, we've got our email set up. What's our email? What is it? Intertribal Talk Podcast.
intertribalpc@gmail.com.
intertribalpc@gmail.com. You can find us again on Instagram at Intertribal Talk, and then also you can find us Intertribal Talk Podcast on Facebook, and then on YouTube and Spotify. And you know what, guys? Like, check out our YouTube. YouTube's important. And, you know, we've been working on some things too, discussing like getting some reels, getting some videos, some other content other than just our clips and our audio put up. We're going to have some other fun things for you guys. So just like really pay attention to all that. And we're so excited to share all that with you.
Absolutely. Thank you for tuning in. Thank you for hanging out with us for another episode of Intertribal Talk Podcast. Have a great week.
Sounds good, guys. Bye.
Bye.
Ooh, okay.
La 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 la. Hello.
Sorry, that probably sounded whack. Are we going? Okay.
I think he's already started recording.
I already
All right. Well, then I will. I'll kick it off then.
Okay.
All right, everybody. Good afternoon. What happened? Good afternoon, everybody. It's a good time to be Indigenous, and welcome.
Keep it.
No, yeah, you can keep that. Let's try this again.
Blooper reels.
It has been a month since we've been in the studio, maybe even longer. So a little rust to shake off here. Good afternoon, everybody. It's a good time to be Indigenous. You're here with your boy Cody, and we got Devin Destiny.
Hey guys, we missed you.
Oh, I fucked up again. I'm sorry, Devin. I didn't mean to cut you off.
That's okay.
I'm gonna try one more time.
Okay, do it. I'm gonna do a selfie.
Good afternoon, everybody. It is a good time to be Indigenous. You're here with your boy Cody, and we have Devin Destiny.
Hey guys.
And we have Falcus Media. Fuck. Oh.
I'm sorry. I'll do this. I got it.
You got it.
Blooper reel, right? This
Blooper
is for
reels.
the year-end bloopers. All right.